Hello. See you again with Car Expert YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe to get the newest update of car reviews. Large automakers have become adept at creating new microsegments, but BMW has managed an uncommon twist. Its M240i is one of the rare cars that competes more closely with its own sibling, the BMW M2, than it does with any external foe. This is fraternal rivalry as practiced in a piranha tank. Despite the best efforts of the BMW marketing machine to distinguish these two newer versions of the 2 Series, their similarities are far more striking than their differences. Both are powered by 3.0-liter turbocharged inline-6 engines of similar outputs, both hit 60 miles per hour within 1/3 of a second of each other, and both wear the M badges that indicate they were developed by BMW's Motorsport division. Yet BMW pretty much pulls it off. Drive this brace of 2s back to back and you realize that they do have different personalities that will appeal to dissimilar sets of buyers. While the M240i's price seems to make it the junior partner here, for many it will be the better choice. There's certainly no shortage of performance. The M240i picks up where the previous M235i left off, with a similar combination of the virtues of a big engine and a small car. As indicated by the new car's badge, the engine has been upgraded to the same B58 generation inline-6 that BMW uses in the 340i, but it has been tweaked to deliver slightly more power. But while the M2's engine lives to be worked hard, the M240i's power plant is better suited to effortless progress, pulling strongly from diesel rivaling low revs and with a forceful mid-range that gives an impressive real-world pace. There's no untoward drama, so perspective only really arrives when the driver notices how hard the rest of the car is working. Fully extended, this engine lacks the redline operatics of the M2, but it's still seriously effective. The M240i is a much better cruiser than the M2, quieter and less nervous on the highway. All US-bound cars get the adaptive M suspension as standard equipment, with damper firmness adjusted by the dynamic mode button. Comfort mode delivers on its promise, with a pliant and well-damped ride when asked to deal with poor quality surfaces at speed. The cabin staying impressively refined. Sport and Sport Plus firm up the chassis without making the M240i feel excessively harsh, something we can't say about the full-on M2 on rough pavement. Start to hustle the M240i and it responds enthusiastically. Steering is accurate and confidence-inspiring if not as communicative as we'd prefer, making the effort higher does not improve feel. Grip levels are high, we recorded 0.94 grams on the skid pad, and, with the effortless power delivery, a glance at the speedometer often revealed we were carrying much more speed than we'd thought. The car feels lighter on its feet than the M2 does under modest chassis loads. It's only when you really start to push that the fundamental differences become apparent. While the M2 exists to transgress limits, preferring to do so at a jaunty, tail-driven angle, the M240i has been built to stick rather than slip and understairs by default. The other relative disappointment comes with the Junior M car's lack of visual punch. Excepting the M badge and a few subtle details, it looks pretty much identical to an entry-level 230i Coupe on upgraded wheels, as it lacks the buff muscularity of the handsome M2's flared rear fenders or the feral stance imparted by its wider track. It's a similar story in the cabin, which is well finished and spacious, at least for front seat occupants, but lacks the magic you might expect when spending this amount of money on a car. An unoptioned M240i's interior is a dark, gloomy place that can't approach the modern feel and specialness of any Audi equipped with that company's virtual cockpit system. Not only is the M240i more affordable than the M2, it's also fairly well equipped at the base price with a glass sunroof. A no-cost delete option will please sunroof haters, power front seats, satellite radio, and ambient lighting. As with the rest of the 2 Series family, rear seat space is effectively limited to children and small or flexible grown-ups, certainly so if there's an average-size adult needing legroom up front. But the 14 cubic feet of luggage capacity is decent, And there's even more if you fold down the rear seat backs. BMW's turbocharged engines tend to be impressively frugal if used gently, and the M240i is no exception to the rule. We saw 23 miles per gallon while touring enthusiastically, with very few of those miles on the highway. BMW has been doing the brawny engine in a small car thing since 1966, when it introduced the 1600 Coupe, a car that would offer between 85 and 105 horsepower from its 1.6-liter four-cylinder, yet was faster than many bona fide sports cars. 5 decades later, Munich still knows this game as well as anybody else, and while the M240i is no huge improvement over the 10 best cars were the M235i, it didn't really need to be. The M240i's greatest achievement is that it doesn't feel like a compromise next to the M2, but rather makes its own case as a more usable and more comfortable alternative for less money. If you plan to spend many weekends working out at a racetrack, by all means stretch for the M2. If you're just looking for a lively driving companion for daily commutes and weekend getaways, the M240i is the better M car for the job.